All right, today we are diving deep, and I mean deep, into the frozen past. We're talking warrior kings, dark rituals. We are exploring the incredible secrets of the Scythian Mounds and their absolutely wild quest for eternal life.
You know, out there in the vast frozen world of the Altai Mountains, there was this ancient culture that looked at death completely differently. For the Scythians, it wasn't the end of the road. No way. It was just the beginning of a whole new physical journey into the afterlife.
So, our story really kicks off deep inside the Earth's own natural freezer, the permafrost. This place locked away an almost impossible secret for literally thousands of years. Can you just imagine being an archaeologist, digging in the super remote Altai Mountains, and you don't just find bones, you find bodies, Scythian warrior kings perfectly preserved. And when I say preserved, I mean flesh, skin, even their intricate tattoos, all frozen solid, looking like they died yesterday. It just completely defies everything we know about natural decay.
So right away, this find raises a huge question. The open steppe is a harsh place, right? It's all about the cycles of life and death. So how in the world did these bodies manage to escape that for thousands of years? Was it just some crazy lucky accident?
Well, the answer, as it turns out, has very little to do with luck or nature. It has everything to do with the rituals of Scythian shamans and their command of what you could only really call the dark arts of preservation.
Yeah, this was no freak accident. The preservation of these kings was deliberate. It was a meticulous, deeply sacred process, all orchestrated by human hands. And they had a very specific and incredibly ambitious goal in mind.
So how did they actually pull this off? Well, it was this fascinating and honestly pretty grim three-part ritual. First, it started with these visceral ceremonies, things like bloodletting, probably to get rid of fluids that would make the body decompose faster. Then came the secret weapon, mercury. This stuff is super toxic, but it's also a powerful antimicrobial. They used it to stop decay from the inside out, a really dangerous art that only the shamans knew. And finally, the body was entombed way down deep in the permafrost, basically using nature's freezer to lock in their work forever.
But why? Why go to such extreme and dangerous lengths? You see, this whole complex ritual wasn't just about preserving a body. It was about preserving a king's legacy, their very essence. And it was all driven by this powerful, all-consuming philosophy.
This really takes it to another level, way beyond simple mummification. For the Scythians, preservation was a deep philosophical quest. They weren't just trying to save a body, they were actively trying to break the laws of nature, to cheat decay, and to give their leaders a real, physical kind of immortality.
You know that phrase, a dark philosophical obsession? It just perfectly captures how intense this was for them. This wasn't just some idea, it was the engine that drove their whole society. It fueled a war against the one enemy that no warrior could ever beat, time itself. It was a fight to make sure their kings would last forever.
But wait a minute, how could we possibly know the details of these ancient, secret rituals today? This is where the past meets the future, where modern science lets us reconstruct a world that's been gone for a very long time.
So to piece this whole puzzle together, researchers are basically combining old-school digging with new-school tech. They do the hard archaeological work, analyzing artifacts and the frozen flesh for evidence. But then, and this is the cool part, they feed all that data into AI systems to generate these speculative visualizations. It's like an informed reconstruction of what these lost rituals might have actually looked like, bridging that gap between cold, hard facts and our imagination.
This mashup of technology and archaeology lets us digitally excavate the past. We can start to visualize the shaman's precise movements. We can witness the chilling moment they applied the mercury. And we can begin to understand the sacred, and maybe even terrifying, world that surrounded these frozen kings.
So this ancient obsession kind of leaves us with a modern question, doesn't it? The Scythians used ice and mercury to carve out a physical immortality from the frozen ground. Today, we're constantly curating our digital lives, creating our own kind of eternal legacy up in the cloud. It really makes you wonder, 1,000 years from now, what's going to be our permafrost? How will our era fight to be remembered?